MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show, and in studio with us today we've got Caroline Wyly. She is the founder and CEO of Twine Connect, and we are trying to understand the value of the business, and I'm starting at the business level. Okay, so if I summarize this, the value you create is getting the first meeting. That's the first to get the first meeting. So I would battle to get the first meeting. You find it easier to get the first meeting through all your methodologies, and you charge for that. And then you spoke about that's connect, and then the second word,
enable.
Enable.
So there's the enablement training solution that I deliver to sales teams within corporates, where I show them how to sell, basically, but more in a virtual world.
Okay, so like LinkedIn, things like that, right?
What to do, how to craft the messages so that they align with what the organization does, how to find the right people, and the sort of flow that should happen.
Okay.
Big aspect there is content as well. So content is a huge thing.
And then the third thing is?
The third thing is grow. So once we've done those elements, how do we grow the business on an ongoing basis? And that's where I often bring the marketing into the equation. And that's where the sales enablement happens. So what marketing is doing to align with what sales wants to do for sales purposes and growth.
So how often, if I were a client, how often do I use you on an ongoing basis? Like, what's the nature of the relationship with the client?
Yeah, it's ongoing, and very nice annuity in terms of the clients that I build relationships with.
Yeah.
We become an inherent part of their team.
Yeah.
I see myself as an extension of their sales team to work with their sales team to support them.
When you spoke about corporates and then the training, but your target market, who's your typical client? I get that they'll want to get into big corporates, but who's typically knocking on your door?
Yeah, so at the moment it's mid-tier businesses. Small businesses, there's not a fit, right? So mid-tier, where they possibly haven't, and generally speaking, haven't got a sales team, which to me is a little bit of a problem as well, because I hand over these golden eggs and then they get dropped. Or larger businesses who want to enable their teams to actually sell properly. So those are the two.
Okay, you spoke about the bigger the whales, the bigger clients. So would they not? I'm just wondering why you want that. If a large client will generally, I could be wrong, but generally will have a sales team.
Yeah.
So why would they use you?
So I've got examples where clients have a large sales team, but the sales team aren't performing or delivering, and it's all about the growth and bottom line. So they're not delivering on that bottom line. So I get in there and actually ascertain exactly where the gaps are, because sometimes it's complacency, sometimes it's not understanding the value proposition, sometimes they don't have the tools, whatever the case may be. So I'll get in there and actually understand exactly what's going on with the sales team to enable them.
So do you have any IP that is protectable in that? So once you've trained their sales team or you've worked with their sales team, do you lose that IP to them?
It's a very good question, because yes, I do, but to me, I'm about enablement. So for me, handing over skills and upskilling people is really important. I love it. I think it's essential to do that. If I look at the big whales that I'm looking at attracting, that would be an element of it. But after that, what happens and how do I get involved with the growth of the business is where I'd like to really get stuck into, and how to do that. Yeah.
You know, there is I'm trying to work out, even in your mid-tier, if I take a bookkeeping or an accounting business where they do bookkeeping for small businesses, generally what happens in that market is that I don't have my own bookkeeper, and it's expensive for me to have my own bookkeeper, so I'll outsource that. I'll outsource that to a point where my business is at a level and there are enough transactions where it's cheaper for me to insource that. Okay, at some point. Are you suffering that same issue that you sort of get them to speed and their success is actually your demise?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes and no, because they get to that point of success, but the continuity, because generally we're doing solution selling, right? So which is long lead times.
Yeah.
And to keep the momentum going is often where the problem is. And I can see it very clearly. So that's actually an opportunity for me to get involved there, make sure the closure happens, and we get to the end of the goal of closing those deals. So it's a bit of both. It can be my demise, but I think that at the beginning of the engagement, just based on my experience, because I've been around the block, the client sees value in including me in the strategic part of their growth for the business. So yeah, it depends on which element I'm delivering, but for the big picture, it's definitely like me wanting to get more involved and under the hood.
Let's flip the value question to the CEO who's being solicited. Is there a value proposition to that individual? In other words, it's good for them to say yes to a meeting from you because what? Because
they probably not seeing the growth, and most of them are coming to me, so there must be something that I'm doing that
I'm saying the other side. So I come to you and I say, I need introductions into the corporate world, right?
Okay, yes.
So those CEOs are coming, I'm going to now go and meet with CEO A, B, and C.
Yes.
I'm asking if I flip the value question to say what's in it for CEO A, B, and C, what's valuable for introductions from you or through your to meet with me.
Okay. And that's what I understand. That's what I get to the bottom of. So it's very much understanding very high level what the value proposition is, what's in it for that person. That for me is very key to understand that. And for me, it's about the pain points.
Yes.
I'm very much about being outward focused as opposed to thinking we know what the solution is. There's an exercise that I do where we actually understand exactly what the client's needs are and what their pains are so that we can talk to those pains. So for me, it's not about going in there and selling something that we think is valuable or important. It's selling something that we've done our homework and research and know that our prospect is experiencing those pains. So by the time we get there, it's very easy to sell according or to position according to those pains. Because remember, we're just setting up that first appointment, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be very succinct. You've got to be very compelling in getting in there. Yeah.
Great. I think from a succinct point of view, we have to be succinct now. We have come to the end of part 2. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, I'll have more questions. No more questions. I'm actually going to give some input to Caroline Wyly. Stay tuned.
MTN SME Hub, link to business success.